So now that we can make the player actually stick to the wall, what we want to do is come up with a better way of doing this as well as making the player slide down the wall. Once we get this in place, we'll then be able to add other behaviors like jumping off the wall. Now, while manipulating gravity was a good first attempt, in this next behavior, what we're actually going to do is manipulate the velocity in order to slow the player down when he's sliding down the wall. To get started, let's go back into our scripts behavior folder, and we'll create a new C# script, and we'll call this one wall slide. Then let's open this up in MonoDevelop. Now, let's extend all the work that we did in Stick to Walls and override a few of the methods that will allow us to customize the way that we slide down the wall. Here, we're not going to need the start method, so let's remove that. And here, let's modify our update method to take advantage of the update logic in our Stick to Walls behavior. Once we override the update method, let's make sure that we make a call to the base update method as well. Next, we'll want to add a public property that'll represent the amount of velocity we'll apply to the player when he's sliding down the wall. We'll make this a public float and call this slide velocity. And let's make that equal -5 so that we move the player down. Now back in our update method, underneath where we make the call to the base update, let's add in some new logic. Remember, at this point, we've now detected whether we're actually on the wall. So let's take advantage of that by adding a condition to go through and make sure that on-wall detected equals true. Now, we'll want to calculate what the new y velocity will be. In this case, we're simply going to set it to slide velocity. Then, we can reapply this velocity back to the body. We'll create a new vector, and we'll use the existing velocity x, and we'll now pass in the new velocity y. Now, before we go and test this, we want to make sure that we disable all the gravity manipulation logic that we have in the previous class. So let's override our onStick and offWall methods. In onStick, we're going to want to make sure that we set the velocity of the body to 0 as soon as we detect that we're on the wall. This should help us slow the player down. And then finally, let's override the offWall, and in this case, we're not going to do anything. So this way, it'll disable all the logic we have in the child class. We'll just make a little note to ourselves that this does nothing. Now, let's save our script, go back into Unity, select our player, and add this to our player. We'll also want to make sure to disable the Stick to Wall script. So now, if we run this game and jump on the wall, you'll see we'll need to continue holding the left key, but as we let go, he'll cleanly slide down the wall. Now, we can change this value to be something slower. Let's say we made this 0, but you'll notice that when he jumps and hits the wall, he actually doesn't stop. He continues to slide down, and that's because of the pull of gravity. What we'd actually have to do is calculate what gravity is pulling the player down with and reverse the velocity. If we were to do something like +5, for example, and we ran this, you'll see that he goes down a little bit slower. If we made this 100, you'll see that he slides up the wall as well. This is also a good technique if you wanted to go and add a different effect where maybe you hit a wall and it shot the player up. Next, we'll go through and we'll make some alterations to this class to allow you to slide down the wall faster if you press the down key.